Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to Nine Gnar Trees podcast. Today, I will summarize and review the book. American Monsters by Linda S. Godfrey surveys the strange beings that populate U.S. folklore and modern eyewitness reports, from classic lake creatures and hairy hominids to winged humanoids and canine-like predators. Godfrey, known for long-running reporting on the Beast of Bray Road and other cryptid cases, frames the topic as a meeting point of regional legend, local history, and contemporary mystery. Rather than treating monster stories as simple campfire entertainment, the book traces how sightings emerge, spread, and persist, and how they reflect the landscapes and anxieties of the communities that tell them. Readers can expect a wide-ranging tour of states, decades, and creature types, with attention to patterns in testimony, the role of media, and the recurring tension between belief and skepticism. The result is a cultural history of American monster lore that also functions as a field guide to the best-known cases, inviting readers to weigh evidence, context, and human experience. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, a map of American cryptids and their regional roots. A central focus of American Monsters is the sheer variety of creatures reported across the United States and how strongly each case is tied to place. Godfrey organizes the subject as a kind of cultural geography, where particular landscapes seem to generate particular monster traditions. Forested regions invite Bigfoot-like encounters, waterways foster lake monster lore, and rural backroads become the stage for predatory animal men and unknown canines. This regional approach helps explain why legends persist. They become embedded in local identity, tourism, and community storytelling, and they often draw on older motifs that migrated with settlers and were reshaped by American environments. The book also highlights how a single state or county can host multiple overlapping traditions, suggesting that monster lore behaves like an ecosystem of narratives rather than isolated anecdotes. By treating monsters as part of an American patchwork of belief, Godfrey encourages readers to notice patterns, what people think they saw, where they saw it, and how the description changes to match local expectations. This topic sets up the rest of the book by showing that monster stories are not random. They are culturally situated, recurring, and often surprisingly consistent within regions. Secondly, witness testimony, patterns, and the problem of evidence. Godfrey repeatedly returns to the question of how to evaluate sighting reports without dismissing witnesses or abandoning critical thinking. American Monsters treats testimony as data that can be compared across time, location, and creature category. Readers see how reports often cluster around certain routes, seasons, or community events, and how similar descriptive details recur even when witnesses have no obvious connection. At the same time, the book acknowledges the pitfalls. Memory can be shaped by stress, darkness, distance, and expectation, and a compelling story can become more polished with retelling. Godfrey's journalistic angle emphasizes interviewing, cross-checking, and tracking how accounts entered the public record through newspapers, radio, and the internet. This creates a practical framework for readers. Look for consistency in core details, note where information may have been influenced by prior publicity, and distinguish between first-hand encounters and second-hand legend. The topic also addresses why physical proof is often missing even in earnest cases, including the transient nature of outdoor events and the difficulty of documentation during sudden encounters. The book ultimately presents evidence as a spectrum, inviting readers to weigh plausibility and context rather than expecting courtroom certainty. Thirdly, monsters as modern folklore and community narrative. Another important theme is that monsters are not only creatures to be hunted or debunked, they are stories that communities use to interpret unusual experiences, mark boundaries, and express shared fears or hopes. American Monsters places cryptid accounts within the broader tradition of American folklore, where tales evolve through repetition, local customization, and the human desire for meaning. Godfrey shows how a legend can begin with a single puzzling incident and then expand as neighbors compare memories, assign a name, and connect it to older myths or to similar reports elsewhere. This process can create a feedback loop. The more a town becomes known for a particular creature, the more people interpret ambiguous sites through that lens, and the more the legend gains momentum. The book also explores how monster stories serve as social glue. They become conversation starters, festival themes, and local claims to uniqueness. Even skeptics may participate as part of community identity. By framing cryptids as living folklore, the book helps readers understand why these narratives endure regardless of scientific resolution. The monster becomes a symbol that can carry themes of wilderness, danger, the unknown, and the thrill of mystery in an increasingly mapped and monitored world. Fourthly, media, pop culture, and the amplification of sightings. American Monsters highlights how mass media and pop culture shape what people look for and how they describe what they believe they saw. Godfrey's survey reflects the shift from localized newspaper accounts to national television specials and, more recently, the rapid spread of claims through online forums and social media. This topic examines how a single report can be amplified into a broader wave of sightings, especially when a creature gains a catchy name and a recognizable visual template. Once a monster enters the popular imagination, later witnesses may unconsciously borrow language, features, or narrative beats from earlier coverage. Godfrey also points out that media attention can have mixed effects. On one hand, it encourages witnesses to come forward and can preserve valuable details that might otherwise be lost. On the other hand, it can attract hoaxes, misidentifications, and sensationalism that muddy the record. The book's wide timespan lets readers compare how earlier eras framed unusual creatures as curiosities or warnings, while modern coverage often treats them as entertainment or paranormal intrigue. By analyzing these dynamics, Godfrey gives readers tools to evaluate not only the sighting itself, but also the information environment surrounding it. Lastly, border creatures and the human need for mystery. Across its case studies, the book repeatedly encounters creatures that seem to sit on the border between categories, part animal, part human, part spirit, or simply unknown. Godfrey's coverage of such border creatures underscores a deeper idea. Monster lore thrives where certainty breaks down. People report seeing something that does not fit their mental catalog of wildlife, and the brain reaches for the closest narrative container available. Sometimes that container is a familiar archetype, like a hairy wild man, a winged entity, or a predatory dog-like figure. Sometimes it is a more localized tradition, shaped by a particular town's history or by the features of a nearby swamp, ridge, or abandoned road. This topic explores how monsters act as placeholders for unresolved questions, including the limits of perception, the unpredictability of nature, and the fear that something may be living just beyond our usual boundaries. Godfrey's historical framing also suggests that the American landscape, with its vastness and varied habitats, encourages the belief that hidden populations or rare phenomena could exist. Whether one reads these accounts as literal creatures, misidentifications, or modern myths, the book shows why the mystery matters, it keeps curiosity alive, and invites readers to examine how humans construct reality when confronted with the unfamiliar. In conclusion, this book is best suited for readers who enjoy cryptids, paranormal history, and American folklore, as well as skeptically minded readers who want a broad survey without requiring a single, definitive explanation. Fans of regional history will also appreciate how monster traditions attach themselves to specific towns, roads, forests, and waterways. The benefit to a reader's life comes from learning how narratives form, how eyewitness memories work, how communities build shared stories, and how media attention can reinforce or distort an event. Those skills translate beyond monsters into everyday critical thinking about rumors, viral claims, and ambiguous experiences. American Monsters is worth buying compared to similar books because it combines a nationwide scope with a reporter's attention to recurring patterns and cultural context, instead of relying only on shock value or one-note debunking. Godfrey's long involvement with cryptid reporting gives the book a grounded tone, balancing curiosity and caution while acknowledging why people continue to report extraordinary encounters. If you want a single volume that treats American monster lore as both mystery and cultural history, this book offers a cohesive, readable guide that encourages you to explore, compare accounts, and decide what you find most plausible. If you would like to support Linda S. Godfrey, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.